episode 136. We're back, and it's so good to be back. Today's my first sort of proper full day here at Skeinz, since December, and it's been so great. I've been look, to be honest, I haven't been able to help myself. I have pretty much been in every week since I went off to check in and make sure everything's been okay, but it has just been so nice to get back to work proper and back behind the desk and digging back in and having a good look at where everything is at. And I haven't completely been away. I have to admit, I have been working the last 3 weeks in the other business that my husband and I have. So I've been there since about the 10th of January. So I have had a nice break, and it is so lovely to be back in the Yarny universe again, which is awesome. Thank you, Angela. She's saying I was missed. It's really nice. I've missed you guys, actually. I've really missed doing that. So often stuff has cropped up or things have happened over the break, and I'm thinking, I could tell them about that on the speakeasy. And I probably should have done a couple of impromptus, but it has actually, one of the goals, I think I spoke about it on the last speakeasy of last year, one of the goals I set myself across the summer was to have a bit of an unplug. And I was actually pretty successful. I did do that. I unplugged quite significantly from a lot of things, and it was so good for the mental health. I cannot tell you. So if you're feeling like everything's getting a little bit on top of you, I can tell you right now, definitely do an unplug, particularly from anything that looks like media, and just go and sort of retreat back into a little bubble. And I've been thoroughly enjoying just having a look at the speakeasy and all the incredible projects. In fact, I was going through the Stitch and Summer projects just before I went live. Oh, so much cool stuff. You know, the all of you that the hobo bags, they were amazing. There's been heaps of projects listed with Pulse. So if you've been wanting to know what Pulse looks like, definitely go in and have a look at what was posted over the summer, because there were a load of Pulse projects there, and it's been great. You know, it's really inspirational, and to the point that whilst I haven't done a tremendous amount of stitching over the summer, I have done some, and it's been and it's actually felt good. It's felt really, really, really good. So, but to tell you about today, Claire's been working like a Trojan. Say hello to the crew, Claire. There she is. Look, there's Claire. Everyone. Yeah, and 2022 for Claire is the year of skirts.
Oh gosh.
I know. So I came in, was it 3 weeks ago? And you had it when you came back. Claire came back to work, and she had this ensemble on, and I looked at her and I said, "Oh, are you going to a funeral?" And then I went, "Better not be a job interview," because usually we are pretty cash, aren't we? Yeah. Because we're in the warehouse. Everything gets dirty in the warehouse. So Claire has decided to. I'm
like from the old place, we'd be walking through the
pages and like that. Yeah, such a mess. Yeah. So we did have a bit of a giggle about that.
It's a running joke now.
It is a running joke. It is a running joke. Whereas I at least sort of make a little bit of an effort because I have to talk to you guys. I was just out there before putting the lippy on. I thought I'd better not scare you without any lipstick. So yes, we have been busy. The crew and Claire and the team and the warehouse. The last lot of shelves arrived. It is amazing out there. I said to Claire, you could either have a party or even play cricket down the aisles there now. Everything's cleared. It looks incredible. It was so fun. It was so fun. And it's so good to see all the stock up there, and we've had a lot of stock arrive, including our balance of our KAL Co order finally turned up on the slow boat from Donegal, and it was a very slow boat, an exceptionally slow boat from Donegal. So we've now got it, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. And it has just been nice. Peter's been in this morning. Him and I have had another catch up. We had a few meetings last week, and there's a lot of really exciting stuff that we've got planned for 2022. Obviously, in around 6 or so weeks is a certain event that happens here every year that I know many of you get very excited about. And Claire and I'm quite proud of ourselves because Claire and I actually mapped that out in November of last year. So it will feel kind of weird to start getting all that because we sort of mapped it out such a long time ago, but it is really looking like it's going to be as epic as it has always been, and we've got a lot of planning back and done with that. And we've got new yarns coming in, a new collaboration starting up for a little later in the year. So there's some really neat, exciting stuff happen. The biggest thing, as always with us, and actually our 2022 goal, we have loads of goals that we like to do for every year. And one of the things that when we had our big planning meeting at the end of last year, looking forward into this year, one of the key tenets for us this year has been around making sure that we stick to our core mission, which is providing the best possible quality yarn at affordable prices, and we're really making a huge commitment for that this year. We've seen the inflation numbers and things that are starting massive pressures on costs, which affect us as well. So a lot of decisions that we'll be making moving forward is about how do we preserve the ability for everybody to be able to afford really amazing quality yarn. So we're excited because there's been some really interesting innovation coming out of our own mill to be able to do that. And it's it's funny, you know, what do they say, the saying about necessity being the scarcity being the mother of all invention, or something along that, and that's definitely what we're seeing at the moment with everything going on. Gosh, everybody is here, and talk about, gosh, I've got Charles is here. Hi, Charles. Actually, well, while we've got Charles here, Charles, if you are in the US, because I did see a couple of other, did I not see Tabitha poked in before, and there's a few others. Yes, there are a few here from the US. And hello, Quackers, good to see you. Charles has got the most amazing exhibition going on at the moment in Georgia, Hidden Faces it's called, and these incredible, it's an installation piece. And Charles, I don't know how you do it, I really don't, just incredible. So have a look on Charles's Facebook page or over on his Ravelry, and you'll get to see some information on that. They're so clever, so clever. Right. Should we see what's been on my needles and hooks across the break? Oh, I've got stuff all sitting to the side here. Hopefully it doesn't fall off. So, oh gosh, I'm running into things. I've got boxes up here. My half of the desk is an absolute bomb site. You've been untidying. Is your half of the...
Just doing my work.
Oh, is that what it is? Because her half of we like sisters that share a bedroom, and at the moment my half of the room is not holding up to the standard. Whereas Claire's, I walked in this morning and I said to Heather, I said, "Who's been cleaning up? It's like really good in here." So that's obviously it's something that I need to get onto. Oh, Charles is saying he'd love to do. Oh, it opens in February 11. Awesome. Okay, that's good news, Charles. Yes, and I'd love to have you back at CAN. Wait for all of this insanity to subside, Charles, and we'll be back into it. Right, what have I been up to? And let me just move this so I can. There we go. So I can move my chair around. Okay. I've had 2 projects on the go over the break. And for those who have been following me for a while, you know that my summer projects tend to fall into 2 categories. They'll be things that require a little bit of mental thought, and I actually have the time and space to be able to do it. And I quite like diving into quite meaty projects over that time. Or they are the complete opposite of that, and the honestly most brainless project that you've ever known to man. And this year is no exception. I have both of those. It has been a number of months. In fact, it might have been the last lockdown or lockdown before. I can't remember. Who knows? These lockdowns, they're all rolling together, don't they? I always have a crochet scrap blanket on the go. I've shown these many times. I've got a million of them. I often give them away, but I haven't had one on the go for a while. And I had this yarn that was a trial yarn, which is, I think I showed you this before Christmas, so I couldn't help myself. I wanted to see, we were just doing some testing to see how it knitted up, and I thought, oh, I'll just see how it crochets up too, in terms of the colouring and the distribution and stuff. So I did that, and I started just a little square to see that, and it just looked so pretty. I thought, oh, well, I'll carry on and do a scraps blanket. So that's where it's at. So you can see the big square there in the middle, which is the sort of trial. And actually, crocheted looks jolly good. And that's what Peter's been working on and showed me this morning. But I've just been doing I've decided that this blanket is going to be all either random prints or printed like multicolored yarn. So there's going to be no solid yarns in this blanket. So I want this crazy cacophony of colors. So already I've got in here a little bit of leftover Barocco in here that was left over from that poncho, the purple poncho that I did over the winter. There was literally two little scraps left of a more pink one and a more purple one, enough to do sort of a round. There's some more of that sort of trial-y yarn in a different colour. There is, what else is in there? Oh, there's actually a ball closer in here. That there is actually a ball of the new Pulse. I think that one was Strobe, and that was actually one of the sample balls that came initially before we ordered it in. So it wasn't the final run. So it was like not even a full ball, like a partial ball of that. This one up here is a hand-painted trial that we did, predates Claire actually. It was a yarn that we did a million years ago, and I've had literally sitting on my extended stash here and the thing from a decade, easily a decade. And I looked at the three of them there, and there were three little part skeins. I think I've kept one of the smallest ones as a library sample, and the rest of them are like, well, they're no good to anybody. So wound those off. I'm now on to, and I had enough to do that, and I've got a little bit more of that. I've got, this is the Strobe, this is the Disco from Pulse, which is what I'm on to now, left over from my hitchhiker. And what I love about this blanket, I've also gone through the stash there and found a couple of unicorn skeins of Malabrigo. So these are Malabrigos that I bought years ago. Usually I buy those Malabrigos in lots of 2s or 3s, because then I know it's enough to do sort of, I used to be, when I was buying them in the day, they were enough to do like a child's garment or something a little bit more substantial. And of course, I've often ended up doing something smaller that's only used half the stock and ended up with these sort of single unicorn skeins left over. So I've got those sitting at home. I'm going to wind those off. So there's 2 of those that'll end up in here. And you may think to yourself, oh, she's doing a full scale of that. It's like, well, why not? And they're all really crazy colors, so it will fit beautifully with this blanket. And they're all DKs, so they're all essentially a DK. They're all done on my handy dandy 4mm hook. So I've actually, I think it's 4mm, yes. So I've actually usually with these blankets, you can either do them on a 4mm or a 4.5 or 5mm hook. I have done them on the bigger hooks. In terms of the comfort and weight and warmth of the blanket, I do find the extra density quite nice. So I've actually done this one in my previous one I did on a 4mm as well. More yarn hungry, but so worth it in terms of the comfort of the overall blanket. So yeah, so as you can see, it's getting there. And I love it because I can just sit there and work away on this when I'm if I'm wanting to do some trashy tally, or the kids, we did a family movie the other night, and the kids insisted on turning all the lights down so I can work on this with not really having to see what I'm doing. So that's what I've been doing with that. The other project, which I have cast on and started, and I only just cast this on this month. I actually waited, in fact, I did. I cast it on this month, and I've talked about this before. So the interweave knits. Remember last year I did my knit along with the Point Judith pullover, and I said that I did promise. So that was in the previous addition to this one. This is winter. The last one I did was actually winter 2017. Point Judith pullover was in spring, I think, of 2017 as well, an interweave. So in here, it was funny because both those editions I've sort of given away a whole heap of my interweaves because I subscribed for years. Those 2 particular editions, I just couldn't, because almost everything that was in each of those magazines, I thought, actually, I would knit that. And that's sort of the criteria for me to hold on to them. This particular edition had a theme on cabled knits and natural fibres. So right in my happy place here, obviously. So the yarn, there's so much in here that I'd love to do. Actually, in fact, I'll probably do something more. This is the one that I'm looking at doing. It's called the Limerick Hendy. Oh, there it is. The lovely rhyme. And my husband, I showed this to my husband, he fell in love with it. And so I've been promising to do this tip for him since 2017. Finally got around to it. So I cast that on. I looked at it. It is done in a natural. Now this yarn, honestly, so it's by Maree Benedetto, and it would be incredible in Flight Naturals. It is done in Darngale Eco Wool. Whether they're still around or not, one does not know. You never know with these things these days. However, it is using a gauge of standard 20 gauge of 20 stitches and 30 rows, 4mm needles. So it is essentially for DK. It's the sort of this is a pattern that honestly Perrindale, Southland are perfect, Chatswood perfect, but also to the Brown and Gage vintage perfect. So much that we could do with this, but I really wanted to do something in Kelly and Co for him, so I brought him in here one weekend when we were closed, and I said, right, pick your poison, tiger. So he picked the colour that he wanted, which wasn't the colour I wanted, but that's, you know, by the by, because I'd much rather he wear it. So he picked the colour he wanted, and I've actually just upped the needle size a little bit, because the largest size on this was 53-inch chest, and it was right on the sort of outer limits for him. He's a weightlifter, so he's very big in the chest. But I knew and my gauge was, I did check the gauge, I think it was 19.5. So I knew that I was actually going to burgle just a little bit extra ease, which is all I needed for him. So that's what I've gone and done. So all I've gone and done, instead of using 3.75mm for the ribbing and 4mm for the main body, I've gone 4mm for the ribbing and 4.5 for the body. So that's all I've done. So it's the only change. It'll give me probably around 8 to 10% extra in terms of sizing and ease. So I started it, and you're going to laugh when I show you this, because the colour he picked, and he didn't realise this, because, oh gosh, what have I gone and done there? Get rid of that. Oh, good grief, I've knocked something on the computer. There we go, go away. The computer was upgraded while I was away, and it's doing weird things. Anyway, he picked the Remore, which is the colour I picked for the Nanook. So we're gonna be matchy. We're gonna have matchy sweaters. That doesn't matter. So this is where I'm at. So I have I'm up to the starting the armhole shaping, which is why I've stopped here, because that is requiring a little bit more concentration. It's a really lovely pattern, and there are so far just enough little quirks in there to keep me interested. It does have, as you may notice there is a provisional cast on. So I've used the crochet cast on there, so you can see that. Easy peasy, done in a bit of pulse as you there, and it's a really interesting way that they've done this cast on, and it's because this is going to have a tubular bind off, so hence the reason for the cast on. So Ethan will be very proud, because we all know that that is like his favourite cast off ever in the whole wide world. So that's what that is there for. And then she had a really interesting way to do the ribbing, which I've not done. I have seen of this before, but I haven't seen done. And as you can see, it's look how stretchy that is. Both sides, super stretchy. And if you actually look closely, this is actually a slip stitch rib. So it actually feels quite padded. It sits, so those stitches actually run across 2 rows. It sits beautifully. Like, I know that once this is finished, like, that ribbing will not be going anywhere. It won't be turning. It won't be doing anything. It's going to sit. It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. I'm totally converted. I have to say, whenever I come across anything now that's got a ribbing into it, I'll be highly tempted to do this ribbing. I mean, look at it. Oh, twing, wing, wing. It's lovely, really lovely. And then it's got this really nice, simple. Actually, that's a good shot of it. A really nice, simple. They call it the Diamond Jubilee pattern, and it almost has sort of a slight honeycombish effect. And it's really simple. Really, it's a little 8 row repeat, blank, 8 row repeat, and it's only got sort of one sort of combined sort of stitch every fourth row. So it's not a challenge at all. So I'm now up to the shaping. So I'll probably actually start getting into this now that I'm sort of back to work and things are heading a bit into normal. But what I was going to suggest is, if you feel like that you want to, I know a number of you were tempted and bought KAL Co in Stitch in Summer and haven't yet decided what you're going to do with it. So I would love to encourage you to start a KAL Co little log. So if you've got some KAL Co there, it doesn't matter how big, how small, start knitting up your KAL Co and share this little journey with me. I'm loving it. I loved it during the lockdown when I knitted my Nanook. It's bliss. It is. I really do enjoy knitting with it, and I think it's because I like the change into a woolen spun yarn as opposed to a worsted spun yarn, which is what we produce. So for me, there's a novelty factor there because it is something a little different. But I do love the spring and the bling, and I love the. I mean, it's just that. I mean, how can you not love the textures with those colours? I mean, just divine, absolutely divine. So that is what I am up to. That's what's on my needles. To make life easier, if you're quite thinking you'd like to do that, I'll just move those over here. It's going to go crinkle, crinkle. Was it last week the KAL? Yeah, it was a week ago. Yeah, last week the KAL Co arrived. Monday? Yeah, yes. So it's when we got the KAL Co. Half of the order we actually air freighted out, which was because we wanted to get it here to you as soon as we possibly could. So that landed on the first day, actually landed right in the middle of that lockdown, wasn't it? One of those lockdowns, level 4 lockdowns. Yeah. So we got that in. Oh God, seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
Well, that was all. When was the last lockdown?
Was it August? Yeah, it was, because it was, because it arrived that first week. It was supposed to arrive and then we went into that lockdown, and then
yes, it was August.
It was August because we had to look up whether we could go and receive it, and we were, because that was quite a goods, were you allowed to receive goods, and we were. So that's when that arrived. So it just seems that forever ago that the balance hit the ship only about a month later, and they were just finishing off a couple of colours to go into the balance. So it meant when we put it up, we had 2 colours that literally only had, I think one only had 20 skeins and one was I think might have been 30 skeins, which were these 2 here, and they sold out really, really, really quickly. And those were these 2 here. So this one here is called Grainy, Morn, and it is actually the camera. Let's put that. There we go. That's slightly better. It is a deep, 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 dark mossy green. It is stunning. It's going up. It's going up for photography. It was the one that we didn't have to go up for photography with Steph. So it is. We'll be going to be getting its proper photo done. I love it because I'm a sucker for anything that's dark green, but it's little flecks. It's got like these. Can you see them there? There you go, with the blues and the oranges. Oh, come on, focus. Let's get rid of my face and maybe it'll focus. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So that is now back in stock. We know that you will love this. We love this. It was one of our favourite colours in the range. the grainy, which is this green here, which has been our best selling colour, this is now back, because this one did actually, our first half of this did sell out, and for good reason. We've got Guy's beautiful Atlas sweater in store as a sample at the moment on loan. He did it in this with the Firefly and the Swilly, and it's just striking, and this is just such a great colour. It's a gorgeous green. It feels like the fields of Ireland, which is one of the reasons why we chose it. We just love it so much. So those two, now we've got those two tonal greens, which when it comes to doing a bit of colour work, I'll just go and get it, because I think that is, there we go. That's one round off. I mean, that's the Arthonia there. Imagine that with a bit of colour and contrast. Amazing. So, and these are all listed. They're up on the page. So the Morn is there. The other colour that we had, because when we picked these colours, we picked a series of neutrals. It was a mixture of neutrals, brights, and contrasts, essentially, because we knew a number of projects in this yarn would be used in colour work, because there is some amazing colour work out there now for this style of yarn. So the Remore, which is this one here, we also gave it a deeper, darker brother, which is this one here. So this is called McKenna, and it is its little darker cousin, and it is gorgeous, and it's got these beautiful, really, I mean, there's a lot of fleck and texture in this, and this is part of the reason why we love both of these, because whilst they were natural tones, you can even see the flecking from here. These are probably the most tweedy of all the yarns in the range, and actually, even if I pop the Arthonia up as a contrast to show you, see, those two together are amazing, but you can see the amount of tweediness in this compared to this. So this is why we went with that, and we only had, I know a few of you were very, very lucky about getting this, because we only had about, as I said, about 30 skeins of this. So it is now back in stock. I see Valerie is asking, has a decision been made about Kelly & Co and 4-ply? Fancy that, Claire.
Fancy that.
Where did I put it? Hold on.
Yeah, I'm hiding.
Oh, you're hiding it.
Not happening.
No, it's still in discussion. It's still in discussion. We Claire and I have been fighting about this now for weeks. So here's this is actually.
You're getting their hopes up.
I know I'm getting their hopes up. I'm hoping that social pressure. See, I love it. So this is it here. This is actually, so this is the Ahern. So they sent us a cone of the single. So the 4-ply is basically the single version of this. We've got a few inquiries we need to make with them first, if I'm being brutally honest. Our concern is in terms of value. So I mentioned before our goal in terms of maintaining value. It's about making sure that we can get this out and we can still maintain costings and value and the like. And also, we can't commit to as much of this as we do of this. So it is a hopefully maybe. So if we do get it, it won't be in the first half of this year. So we just need to see how things are going to pan out. I personally love it. I knitted this and blocked this the other day. The fabric is gorgeous. But also too, purely from a business perspective, I think what many of you may or may not realise is in terms of sales, I mean, we sell to everyone 4-ply, we sell 3 DKs. So that's the other thing that we always have to factor into it, is what we call a stock turn with things like this, particularly with these imported yarns. So we do have, if I'm being brutally honest, that's the one thing that will, if I do it purely on love, we would have had it yesterday, but I have to be practical as well, and we have to look at the stock turn. Claire, on the other hand,
I don't hate it.
No, you don't hate it, but it is and I think we can show it here too. I think our concern too, as well, is that with the, she's standing off screen now, she's giving me a filthy look, is that it is the single woven with it, so you do have to be a little bit more careful with it. And at $24.95 a skein, which is what it will be. Yeah, we just need to make sure that it's there. But it is, to answer your question, Valerie, no. Or yes. Yeah, it's a work.
Don't tell them anything when I go out of the room.
It's a work in progress. Don't you love it how we make decisions around here? Work in progress. On that thing, Ahern is also now back in stock because this one went out of stock as well. So that is what we're having with KIWI and Co. Oh, hold on, me, you saying I'm knitting the Nook with KIWI and I'm stuck with the pattern. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, you can call in. Thursday's a better day for me than Mondays. Mondays are ugly, but Thursdays are good. So yes, do pop in and I'm more than happy to help you with that. There are a couple of little slight quirks with that pattern, and I've got an idea of where you might be coming stuck. So yes, do feel free to call in. Michelle's saying the ratio of DK to fingering is really interesting. I never would have thought that. I know, right? And there's a reason for that, a really practical reason for that. And it's actually because of the volume of yarn required in order to complete a garment. So when you're actually using a finer weight yarn to complete a garment, you only need sort of anywhere between 50% to 60% of yarn in a finer weight to complete a garment than you do in double knitting. And yeah, so that's part of the reason for that. So dare I, as much as because I mean, you know me, I love the finer weight yarns, that's the other side of it, is we need to get stock turned. So my hope, I need to actually have a call with Chris over at Donegal, and my hope is that we'll be able to, we have got another order in process, is that we'll be able to potentially get them to do a small run of singles out for us as a trial. So if we can, and what we'll do is we'll probably select the 8 best selling colours, and it'll be sort of the 8, it'll probably be sort of 3 brights, 3 neutrals, and 2 pops of colour, and that will be the shorter range, and we'll just see how we go. And if you guys absolutely love it and support it, then we're away to the races. And then I'll be able to, we have actually had it when we've done stuff and Claire's like, all right, yeah, and it's been a raving disaster. I've had to go, okay, it was my fault, and then vice versa. So, you know, you just don't know, do you? And so that's the plan with that. Oh, hey, Kathy, you are such a darling. Kathy is in on, if you're on the, having a look at this on Facebook, she's popping all the links in, bless her heart. Everyone is here. This is so cool. Oh, it's so good to be back. I've missed it. Also on the new product just arrived in front, and the girls have been giving me these. One of the biggest successes across Christmas in our Skeinz Christmas shop was Knit Pro. We've really ramped up the amount of accessories this year. First time we've ever done it, and you guys have loved it. They've also had another big shipment in. So we've got the bags back. I can't remember what this one is called. I want to say Bloom, but it may not be Bloom. But we've got the shoulder bags back. Look at those. Gorge. And we'd ordered quite a few of those in because we've had so many people asking for them. And the little over the shoulder bags, I like these ones because these ones. In fact, I think I'm going to have to buy one of these because they've got like the little, and this is all super soft inside with the little magnetic clips. So these just are great as project bags, particularly for larger scale projects, or just having as a pop-out bag, you know, with your knitting in as well. So both of those are in, and Heather tells me they're live. The other thing that we've gone and done, we actually placed this order before Christmas in order to come into the new year. We have restocked the Zing interchangeable sets, are now back in stock. These sold out like hotcakes prior to Christmas, and with the Stitch in Summer, so these are now back. And the other ones we've got in, which we've never had in before, I didn't check to see, Bloom bag. Thanks, Kathy, it was the Bloom bag. I haven't checked to see whether these are up. I think they are, but these are the double pointed needle sets. So if you're a DPN fan, particularly if you do a lot of knitting with socks, or a lot of, I know, I have to admit, I do the old DPN, I do prefer DPNs for sleeves, particularly for finer weights. those are now available. I've chased up our supplier and we've got DPNs coming. I actually sent another email to them this morning, so hopefully they will be here in the next month or two. But this is my job once I get off here, is to load these up. Zing interchangeable tips. You have been asking and asking and asking for us to get these in, and here they are. So it's taken us a wee while to get them here. They've now landed. They landed last week, and my job today is to get those loaded for you. These Zing tips are, I think they're aluminium. What are they? I know Sue's Hagedorn absolutely swears by these. They are just metallic shades of saying. So these are actually metal tips versus the wooden laminated wood tips of our symphonies. The beautiful thing about these symphonies are warm and beautiful and lovely to knit with. The problem with the symphonies, of course, is they are wooden and they do not withstand large posteriors sitting on them when your knitting is on a chair. I can attest that they snap quite readily, also snap with dogs and other things like that. Kittens chewing on the tip and making them, yeah, all sorts of things. These, on the other hand, are extremely robust, and that's why a lot of people love them. So, and we went with the Zings instead of the Novas, which are the other nickel tips that we've had. And Novas is what I have got a Nova here. No, I haven't. Novas are what I initially knitted with back when I started using Knit Pro. The only thing that we found with them, and that's what you guys have told us, is they can sometimes delaminate off the end of them. So whereas these don't, so that's why we've gone with the Zings. Oh, Kathy's saying the DPNs aren't online. Thanks, Kathy. I'll make sure I get those online today. And we are just, yeah, we're really thrilled. So we've made a real commitment to make sure that we get more and more stock in. We've started ordering in volumes with them that allow us to actually bringing in those bigger shipments just for us, which is great. So it means that we can get, instead of having to wait for them to restock their warehouse, we're putting in a large order and then they're literally doing that as a whole capsule order for us as a standalone, which makes a world of difference. So that's what we're starting to do, and then that way we can hopefully start making sure that we keep things on there. Val, random question: is there a solid red that is the dark color in Orb Tabery, similar to Blossom, Cherry Blossom? It makes sense. Yes, it does make sense. We have actually toyed with that before. We have done it in the past, and funnily enough, people didn't. Yeah, it was like, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was right back at the beginning, and we did do it. So the short answer to that is no, but it's not to say that it won't end up happening again. So we have been done that. Yarn winders. What about the yarn winders? Funny you should mention that, Julie. That is one of the things they themselves have been struggling to get. So we haven't managed to get those back in. We have got an order waiting with Ashfords on those, and to be honest, we try to support Ashfords with the yarn winders, being a New Zealand company. I am actually looking at potentially getting some yarn winders made with one of our suppliers offshore and branded for Skeinz. So that's the first prototype came out, and we've just got a second prototype on its way. So yeah, we did put those, and they are that sort of offset winding action, which gives you these really, before everything goes crash, these really lovely soft. In fact, this was actually the prototype one. Oh, if you're wondering where that winder is, by the way, it's at my place.
I figured that.
Yeah, you figured that, yeah. Because somebody else here, remember last lockdown, the other wool winder that disappeared to a certain location that showed it was well used, yes. So I made sure I got the prototype one over this Christmas holidays to use. But it gives you this really lovely, beautifully tensioned swishy ball, which doesn't apply, any 3-inch tips in Symphony interchangeables. The 3-inch, they're the shorter ones, aren't they, Jo? No, is the short answer there. Do they list those? They're not listed on their website. I think it's in the catalogue. There's a lot. So Knit Pro have a catalogue. Honestly, it's like this. But we can only, we haven't really. There's a lot that the distributor here doesn't bring in, and I think we are potentially limited by what they do too. So we haven't actually dived into that, to be fair. So, but yes, I do know what you mean. But no, is the short answer to that. What else I can let you know the theme for next month. I've made the tile. I'll get onto that. So Stitch in Summer has been a huge success. We love Stitch in Summer. It just is so feel good, and it's such a great way to actually sort of scratch that yarn itch and pick up some really good bargains. So that's been massively successful, and the last one obviously was last Thursday. So the theme for Speakeasy starting tomorrow is retro. In February last year it was vintage, and it was because we tied it in with what was theoretically Deco Weekend, and which didn't end up happening. But this time around we've gone with retro because we know how much you loved vintage, and you were able to share lots of the incredible patterns and stuff that you have, because and I've got boxes of them here. We've all got these at home, right? I thought retro is a bit of fun because there are things like this. How retro is that? It's so good, right? And this is my other favorite. In fact, I think next week I'll share this. Look at that. Yep. And that's actually in, yeah, that's in double knitting. I mean, I love it. Look at that. And actually and this is the thing, it's surprisingly modern. Funk that up with slightly different buttons and, you know, a more modern colour, even in the Donegal, and just, yeah, so good. So good. So retro is our theme. So however you perceive retro, whether it's a retro colour, and for you, see, for me, retro is very sort of late 60s and 70s because I'm of the age. But for you, retro might be things in the 80s. It could be neon. And if a retro is in the 90s, we're going to have words because there's not retro yet, babes. But, you know, I'll go with 80s. So enjoy, have fun with it, have fun with the theme. It could even be digging out, for you, it could even be digging out an old magazine that you've had in your library, or a book that you've had in your personal pattern library at home, or a leaflet that you've had kicking around in the knitting bag for decades, and you've decided to dust it off and have a go again. However you perceive retro, we would love to see those patterns shared, or it could even be a sort of a theme. Yes, Charles is just saying an Argyle vest. An Argyle vest, Charles, would be very retro. We'd love to see them, and we will be pulling together a prize pack for you. Very special one. I will also announce the winners of those. I'll probably announce them on Thursday with Ethan. Ethan will be back on Thursday. There is much happening with Outlaw at the moment. So we're going to talk about that. It's really exciting. We've got some new colours in store, both here, which are yet to be loaded, but we'll talk about those too. So we're all back into it, back into the swing of things. So it'll be so nice to sort of, well, we'll get back to normal this week, and then of course Monday next week is a public holiday. But that's okay. That'll give us a bit more time to build up some fun stuff to talk about. That's me. I've talked enough. I'm sitting here. Claire is here. Her son is literally sitting just right off screen. Bless his heart, he's giving me the eye. Aren't you? He's been so good. He is sitting there on his gaming. He's got his headset on, and he's been quietly whispering and saying very little, so he doesn't come in on the stream, bless his heart. So I'm going to stop talking so he can talk to his friends before he starts back at school tomorrow. Won't we, Lucas? Yeah, big nod. Right, good. So good to have you again. So good to see you. Yes, it is great to be back. I'll be back again here with Ethan on Thursday. And until then, happy knitting. Take care. Bye.